The LA Clippers got back on track to a degree with a big time blowout over the Portland Trailblazers. Some good stuff from James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. And is there still hope for the Clippers to close the season on a high? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, and I want you to let me know what you thought of this game. It was an interesting one. Ultimately, we got back on track, so we're going to be talking about that, the performance of our stars, how serious we looked, and what we can build for the end of the season. So before we get started, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops or any sport you want. Baseball is back. March Madness is in full effect. So get your betting on at FanDuel. All right, Clipper Nation. Before we get started, I just want to apologize for the no episode on Wednesday. I was planning to do some kind of preview for Portland and just talk about more of the issues that we've been having over the last couple of weeks on Wednesday, but I got pretty sick. A lot of the kids I was coaching were sick over the last couple of weeks, and I was in close contact with them frequently, so I was kind of shocked at the time. Like, I can't believe I haven't gotten sick yet, but it happened, so I wasn't able to record the episode on Wednesday. I was just really fatigued, and I had to lay in bed, and it would have been me struggling to even continue to talk for 30 minutes straight. So waited, feel a lot better now. Recording this episode on Thursday, and it is the Thursday episode, so let's get into it. Portland Trailblazers. I mean, this is a tanking Blazers team. They don't have Malcolm Brogdon. They don't have Robert Williams. They don't have Jeremy Grant. So it was really just Ayton and Simons and Scoot Henderson that could potentially cause us problems. And the Clippers were actually shorthanded to a degree as well in this game. No Russell Westbrook, of course, who's still out. Terrence Mann didn't play, and neither did Norman Powell. But I don't believe that what they have is too serious. So they were on the bench. Amir Coffey started in place of Terrence Mann, and he was guarding Anthony Simons. Both teams were playing drop coverage throughout the game. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, for the first half. And one of the things that somebody was saying to me was, well, we know Zubac is going to get dominated by Ayton because DeAndre Ayton, going back to that conference final series in 2021, he has had his way with Zoo. So I don't know if I was expecting Ayton to dominate him or anything like that, but there was some talk around, especially with the way Zoo's been struggling lately. But I thought this was one of Zoo's best performances in quite some time, contesting it's almost like someone told him, yo, there's a narrative out there that it's not even a narrative. It's like, yo, Ayton's kind of crushed you in the past. Let's show them that you're good and you can hang with him. And I thought that Zoo did a really good job of getting physical, getting into his airspace, and playing good defense a couple of times, whether it be in pick and roll or one-on-one guarding Ayton. There was one time he forced him into taking a contested jump shot outside the foul line. So good stuff from Zoo. Then offensively, I thought he was really solid, finishing around the basket. And a lot of times it comes from being looked at. And I think it's really funny how some of you came at me in the comments in the last video when I said Zubac deserves to get the ball more down low because he actually has some post game, and I said he has a good right-handed jump hook over his left shoulder on the left block, and now he's even added a little bit of a left-hand jump hook, and you guys ignored it, and you saw he got to it a little bit in that game. he has the capabilities. I've watched him for 4.5 years now. Well, technically I've watched him since he's gotten in the league because he played for the Lakers, and I watched their games as well because they're local. So I've seen Zubac from the beginning. Obviously with the Lakers, he wasn't playing too much. So it's really just fair to say, I've watched him every night with the Clippers for the last 4.5 years. Actually, no, 5 years total because he came midway through the 2018-19 season. And Zoo has some post-game, some touch around the rim. And it starts with James Harden giving him the ball, whether it be on the roll or feeding him. There were some times where James Harden would pull it back out, and DeAndre Ayton had switched onto him on that late switch in drop coverage. So what teams will do sometimes is they'll have their big in drop coverage, but when the ball handler doesn't pass or shoot and kind of pulls it back out, instead of switching back, because it's hard, if you switch back right then and there, you're leaving somebody open potentially for the ball handler to throw the ball to, or leaving him open. So instead, teams will just kind of stay with that late. They'll switch it late. So Harden, for example, has Ayton on him, but whoever was guarding Harden is now guarding Zoo. And there was one time where James threw him the ball right on the block, and it was easy money. So great recognition from James. And I think the seriousness team-wide, first quarter we were okay. I thought our defense wasn't great outside of Zoo. We were actually down 28-27 after the first quarter. But in the second and third quarter, we blew it open, mainly the third. But we were up we outscored the Blazers 33-22 in the second and 34-20 in the third. And I think it just starts with, the theme the last couple of games that Ty Lue keeps saying is we got to go back to doing the little things well, getting back in transition, being more physical on the boards, having better rotations around the basket from our low guys. Everything. Just the little things have to be sharper. And again, one of the biggest reasons I think that they were lacking is because we are old and we have been healthy. So there has been a lot of tread on the tires of our best players, especially with the heavy minutes that they've been playing, mainly James Harden throughout the season. So it has taken a toll on him. Remember, our four best players, depending on if you think our fourth best player is Norm or Russ, let's just say it's Russ for the sake of what I'm about to say. All of our best players are 32 plus years old. So that is not the most ideal situation to win a championship. I'd have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure the 98 Bulls were all in that age range as well. But again, it's a much younger league these days. But we will see. They also had prime Michael Jordan, so it's a little bit different. I love Kawhi Leonard, but I'm not going that far. And they were battle tested. So because I was trying to think of who is all their best players are 32 plus, and I don't even think Kevin Garnett in 2008 was at that level. So it's just not ideal, but at the same time, experience wins you championships more so than young teams. You know what I'm saying? So of course, I think we have a better chance of winning the chip than OKC, even though OKC is higher ranked than us. So actually, Kevin Garnett was 32 years old when he won that championship. So in fact, somewhat similar. But again, that 08 Celtics team got it done. And then after that, they started aging and you saw the injuries start rolling in. Of course, Kevin Garnett got injured that very next year. But yeah. Oh, but I'm sorry. Paul Pierce was 30 at the time. So he's smack dab in his prime. So never mind. Let's take away what I just said. But the point is, we got to go back to doing the little things well. And the big reason we haven't been doing that is because of age. And we did a much better job of this one. I thought Paul George was very solid in this game. I'll talk more about the stars in the next segment. But in the second run, we went on an 11-0 run to start. And I'll tell you who actually catapulted that run on defense. Daniel Tice and PJ Tucker. And you're starting to see PJ Tucker get some more game time lately. And he's looking better, I will say. He's starting to look serviceable. So am I trending towards being wrong that PJ Tucker won't be used at all or shouldn't be used at all in the rotation in the playoffs? He does have playoff experience. He is tough. And if we play against the Pelicans first round, he's going to have to play to try to body up Zion. But let's say we don't play the Pels and we play another team. Should PJ Tucker get minutes? Well, I feel like he's complained his way into getting minutes because, the dude had public quotes about how he was unhappy. So Ty Lue's giving him a chance. He's starting to show what kind of defensive tenacity he can still bring in terms of physicality, active hands. And offensively, he wasn't really that bad. He made some quick passes, but against high-level competition, his offense will stand out, in my opinion, just like it did in the playoffs last year against Boston. So We shall see. But in this particular game, just singling out this game, I thought he was really solid. And Daniel Tice, did a great job of just being active at the rim, throwing his body around. I mean, the guy does not have the size to protect the rim, but he sure tries his best. We went on an 11-0 run to start the quarter, and then James Harden started getting really hot from three. It turned into a 21-4 run in the second quarter. And as I said, Zoo had some nice jump hooks. We shot 9 for 18 from three in the first half. James Harden had 5 threes in the first half. We were up 60-50 at the half. And then in the third quarter, we went on an 18-2 run, started blitzing Anthony Simons. Kawhi was guarding him more, and the amount of times Kawhi got his hand on the ball in that third quarter was amazing. We got out and ran, blew them off the floor, 18-2 run, and ended up cruising to the victory by a score of 116-103, but a lot of that was garbage time. The Blazers outscored us 33-22 in the fourth. So again, don't take it seriously at all, that final score. We blew them out. We were up by as many as 27. It was our best performance in quite some time. Let me look back. It was our best performance since probably the win against the Timberwolves, I would say. That 1-point win against the Timberwolves. So it was our best performance in a while. Again, I know the level of competition wasn't that strong, but it was just more serious. And that's what it's really all about. Yeah, we might not have the legs. We might not. But we got to try our best, right? And I know that the Clippers have better in them than what they've been showing the last couple of weeks. So 14 games left. You're now 43-25. It's time for that home stretch. And you know what? We still could have, if we go 14-0 from the remainder of the season. I said it last episode, if we go 15-0, 1 down, 14 to go, we can still tie the best record in Clipper history. Now, if we go 13-1, we can tie the second best record. Anything below that, we'll see what happens. But the moral of the story, we got more serious, we clamped down, and as James Harden said after the game, this was a get our swag back kind of game. And speaking of James Harden and the Stars, going to be talking about them coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. The 2024 Nissan Pathfinder has room up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capability. With 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing, when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, let's talk about our stars, because in my opinion, that was the biggest reason we won. It was the performances of our 3 stars. And I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, guys. It all comes down to them. They haven't been good enough lately. Let's put it honestly. They haven't. Mainly Paul and James Harden. And Paul George, these last 4 games, I think he's been pretty good. Very good in this one. Against Atlanta, New Orleans and Chicago good, Timberwolves terrible. So he's been better the last couple of games. Now, James Harden for me, I don't even know who I'd pick as player of the game. But I think James Harden through the first half was our guy. He was on fire from three. He was taking the catch and shoot three with less hesitation. There were even times where we started him on the wing curling more, which I really enjoy because I just think it's so stupid. I hate to use such a distasteful word, but when James Harden only catches the ball behind the three-point line from the top of the key, and that's the only stuff he does. When you get him curling from that right side going to his left, we can get some really good stuff in those dribble handoffs and curls. So put him in a little bit more movement. I mean, the guy doesn't move without the ball on his own decision, so you got to run something for him if you want to get him in movement. He's not one of those guys. And quite frankly, Paul George and Kawhi aren't exceptional at that either. So got to try to get him in movement a little more. But overall, he was hitting his three ball, making great passes. I mean, he was really hot in that second quarter, wasn't he? 5 threes in the first half. And, I mean, what ended up going viral. By the way, they started blitzing James in the fourth quarter, but what ended up going viral was that closeout on Kawhi. Look, this is going to surprise some people because, everybody knows I'm not the biggest James Harden guy in the world, but I don't care. We won the game by 20-plus points. We won by 13, but we were up 20-plus points. That would have capped off an insane run. That was in the stretch in the beginning of the third where Kawhi was literally stealing the ball every time down and scoring, and that would have just been the cherry on top of the sundae. I haven't had an ice cream sundae in so long. I'm not as big into sugar these days. Very occasionally, but God, that's making me want a sundae. Anyway, but it would have been a cherry on top of the sundae if he had made it. Now, I don't know if that contest really affected Kawhi's shot at all. It looked bad because he missed, but Harden was trying to clown. He said after the game, he was just trying to lighten up the mood and stuff like that. I don't get mad at it when he played that well and we won and we're playing against the tanking Blazers. But that moment went viral and everybody's like, Harden's so unserious and this and that. It's like, look, if you want to call James Harden unserious, fine, but I don't think that's the right example. I think him playing badly against good teams is much more of an example than that. So I thought he was exceptional, quite frankly. I thought it was his best game in a while, and I'm really hoping that can get him some good momentum going forward. Again, it was against the Blazers, so that doesn't move the needle for me at all. It doesn't make me change my fear of Harden going into the playoffs against good opposition. But is it a bad thing? No, of course not. Him playing well is only good. As he said, let's get our swag back. Hopefully it can lead to something special going forward to close this season. So James Harden, he, in my opinion, you could argue was the player of the game. He had 19 points, 4 rebounds. How about 14 assists? 14 assists? I mean, he was diamond left and right. He hasn't had that many assists. Wow, was that his since December 14th against the Warriors? That was the game I went to. He had 15 assists in that game. That was his most as a Clipper. So it was his second highest assist game as a Clipper on Wednesday night. So what about that stat line? 19, 4, and 14. 1 block, 3 turnovers. He was 6 for 11 from the field, so very efficient. 5 for 9 from 3, extremely efficient. Only 2 free throw attempts, made them both, and he was plus 22. How about PG? Thought he was very solid. Not falling too in love with the 3 ball. He started out with our first basket, getting downhill against Ayton, which I loved, and he was knocking down his jump shot. He was good, and I thought his defense was very solid. Playing with effort, getting up into the defender. Into the offensive player. Chest out, arms wide. Great stuff from PG. 27 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And my favorite stat of them all, 0 turnovers. 10 for 18 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3. Harden and Paul George played 36 minutes apiece. I would have liked if they had played like 2 or 3 minutes less, but whatever. Paul George was our leading scorer, and he was our leader in the plus-minus, plus 23. It's good to see him start to round into form. And I did say over the course of the last couple of weeks, I did call him out, but I said I have faith he will return back. Because the thing about PG is he's just inconsistent for a star, right? He's going to round back into form. I know he is. He's going to start making shots again. Will he be good enough for us to win the championship? Have his inconsistencies that have now made us not be able probably to get the top 3 seed that I've been preaching all year we need. Will that be the difference? Will PG's inconsistencies, because if we get the 4 seed and don't finish top 3, which is very likely, PG's inconsistencies are a large reason why. We shall see. He needs to have a big playoffs. There's no other way around it. And then Kawhi, who I thought you could argue was the player of the game because of how active he was defensively in that second half, especially that third quarter. Now, he got hurt his hand, but Ty Lue said he was good after the game. He was fine. Again, I don't know what to believe. He didn't end up playing in the fourth, so I'm hoping he's okay. It's not an injury that's going to make him miss the playoffs, I don't think. But, yeah, I would hope it's not anything serious enough where he misses any games. But he had 24 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 steals on 9 for 16 shooting. So he shot over 50%, and he was 1 for 3 from 3. So, very solid game. 5 for 6 from the line as well. So, we got 24 points from Kawhi, 27 from PG, and 19 from Harden. So, you put that together, quick math, 70 points from our 3 guys. You'll take that all day because that's an average of over 20. Coming up, though, going to talk about some of the other guys that played and talking about what this could mean for the upcoming stretch. This next segment is brought to us by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. I think the Clippers are going to go on a run. I think it's because of an easy schedule, and I think they're starting around. They're gonna be like, okay, guys, let's stop BSing. Therapy can be beneficial for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Clippers win it 116-103 to move on to 43-25 on the season. Amir Coffey started in place of Terrence Mann, and I thought he was very solid. 11 points on 5 for 10 shooting. The thing about Amir is when he gets in transition, it seems like he finishes just about everything. Goes right into the body, finishes strong on that left side, and he has good athleticism around the rim. 1 for 4 from 3, though he didn't shoot too well from 3, but as a team, we shot great. 52% from the field, 42% from 3, and 87% from the line. Portland shot actually pretty well as well. 48% from the field, 41% from 3, 67% from the line, so not great there. And they got the same amount of foul shots that we did, but they missed 3 more than we did. They had 17 turnovers, and I think that was a large reason why the game wasn't super close. And again, that fourth quarter, that skews the statistics. Like that fourth quarter was nonsense. So we forced 17 turnovers, had 26 points off of them. And Amir Coffey, Kawhi Leonard did a good job of taking advantage of that. Zubac's almost a double-double. 14 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks for Zoo. Oh, my God. Talk about active. 7 for 9 from the field. Yeah. Now we need him to... Here's the funny part. You can say he did it against a bad team, but Ayton has given him problems. So, again, hopefully he can build. That was in 24 minutes, by the way. So, hopefully he can build into something for the final stretch of the season. And then Tice, very solid. He hit 2 threes, both of his attempts. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block for Tice in 20 minutes of play. Shot 3 for 4 from the field and 2 for 2 from 3. PJ had a donut, but he played 26 minutes, didn't shoot once, had 7 rebounds, though, 1 assist and 2 steals, so it was good enough for this one. I'll take it. Bones Highland wasn't great, to be honest. 0 points, 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from deep in just 7 minutes. But you know who was good? Brandon Boston. And people are starting to talk about Boston's defense now. Who's been saying it since before the season, that he has defensive potential and he has good long arms in the passing lanes? Right here, brother and sisters, right here. Doesn't take a genius if you're watching the games, but because his reputation, everyone's going to say, he can't guard because he's kind of a gunner and he's skinny. But he actually has good defensive instincts, and you saw a little bit of that come out in this game again. 1 steal and 2 blocks, 9 points, got into his bag a little bit. So I've noticed this. He doesn't have the best first step, but he has a good handle that can get him where he wants. The thing is, when the hand checking doesn't get called, which sometimes it won't, even in today's game. He gets cut off, so he ends up having to take that mid-range, and he struggles to like plow through because he's not that strong compared to most guys. So when there's no hand checking being called, which there will be against at times. Here's the thing though, against players with no reputation, they allow that stuff. Like they allow him to get away with it. But against SGA, you can't touch him at all anymore. Against Harden or Norman Powell, God forbid they put a hand on him, they're going to flop. So Brandon Boston could flop, he won't get a call. So that's something I'm just noticing, just watching him more. But 9 points, 4 for 9. To be honest, there's no reason why in this end of the season stretch, we can't give him some more minutes every game. If we want to give some guys a breather, especially against teams like Portland. So the question is, can we build off of this? Absolutely. Hopefully James Harden was right and we get our swag back next game. We'll see what the word is on Kawhi. But our next game is at Portland again on Friday. And then we have Philadelphia without Embiid on Sunday. I'll be at the game. It's at 12:30. It's one of those matinee games. No excuses. Go out and get that done. We're looking at a 3-game winning streak there. Then we got a tough game against the Pacers the very next day on a back-to-back. But at least this time, we have over 24 hours to recover. So let's do it. Let's do it. But one game at a time. Let's get 2 in a row against the Blazers yet again. It's hard to beat an NBA team 2 times in a row, but this is the tanking Blazers. So let's build. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content and NBA content. It's almost playoff time, and when it comes to the playoffs, I talk about every team. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Let me know if you think we can build a streak. Give me any thoughts you have on the game. And the age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.